I guess hope you're well. So today might be a little bit of a controversial video, or I don't know, basically like something where people might be a bit like taken offense by or something. And hopefully not, I don't mean it in that way, but I think it's a really good thing to discuss. And it's more around basically the behind the scenes of being an influencer and having influencer friends. A good example of this is Tyler when he spoke about the friends that he had when he was kind of growing as an influencer, and basically the things that they'd got up to, which were obviously sometimes not lawful, but just generally not amazing for his mental health, not amazing for him in general. And I think it was really interesting to see that resonate with loads of other influencers as well. And it was a really good way to see, a really good way to basically get a bit of a nugget or a bit of an understanding in terms of what it's really like to be an influencer on a day-to-day basis. Because the amount of pressure that's on them to always perform, and to always produce more amazing content and to do amazing, crazy things like to bring as much attention as possible. But on top of that, dealing with like just the normal things of trying to understand who your friends are, trying to understand who really just likes you for fame and things like that, but also who is actually going to be there with you and kind of take you in and understand the whole process, and someone who you can basically open up to and speak to. Because this influence industry I've seen and I've heard a lot is a lot around who you know and how you interact with them. And some people are not real. Like, honestly speaking, some people are in it for the fame and they will do anything to get to where they want to be. And obviously, that comes at a price because you end up ruining relationships with other people and causing fractions and things like that within the community that you kind of built within the influence industry as well. Because of all these issues and things that come up, some people sometimes tend to almost doubt how good of a career option it is. Understanding the fact that the influence industry, just as every other industry, so whether you're in an office, whether you're in an influencer group or a network or whatever it may be, it's the same things. So when you're in an office, you have to deal with office politics and things like that, with people and red tape and people trying to get above you and like doing stupid things and like ratting you out to be the boss or something. I don't know. It's similar with the influence industry as well, but there's not a boss, so to speak, but the audience is the boss, right? So to try and get above a certain influencer, and there are others that will do absolutely anything. So they'll like almost not rat you out, but then cause beef or cause like problems or quote unquote expose them, and make them feel like absolutely kind of rubbish, or anything that like any secrets or things that the other influencers kind of confided in the influencer. They'll spread them and they'll do all of these crazy things to just basically ruin their image and for them to go higher and for them to generate views and for them to generate more money, right? Because it's such an addictive drug at times that some influencers forget that you actually have to remain as humans. Like, you can't just be this money grabbing, attention grabbing person, because you're going to end up causing so many lost relationships, and it's going to create an influencer atmosphere which is so toxic. The beauty industry is one of the biggest ones for this, where you have influencers who will go to, where you have beauty influencers who will go to these beauty events. They'll create their own little cliques. So I've had multiple beauty influencers that I've heard from talk similarly about this. And it's all around their little cliques that they have. When you go to an influencer kind of event that used to have, for example, like L'Oreal or for Maybelline or something, or similar to, along those kind of lines, or Too Faced, for example. When you go to these amazing, beautiful parties, all you see is the influencer like snapping or doing some pretty pictures or hanging out with like other influencers. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. You don't really tend to see what goes on behind it, which is the actual nastiness and cattiness that still exists within the industry, especially within the kind of beauty industry and these kind of industries where it's very competitive. You see this cattiness, you see these cliques, you see these little groups, and there are so many influencers who actually said, no, we don't go to these events because of those kind of reasons. Shake Beauty being one of them, and she's like publicly said, I don't like going to these events. I don't really have many influencer friends. I don't really kind of get on with other influencers because of this kind of reason, or this hyper competitivity. When hyper competitiveness, yeah, same word. But that kind of basically industry has become so dog eat dog that there becomes a certain point where you just have to kind of remove yourself and remind yourself that, hold on a second, this is not reality. This is just a social media app, or this is just multiple social media apps. It's not real life. And the way that people sometimes treat it is, obviously it's a moneymaker. It's obviously something which is so important to their livelihood, etc., which is completely understandable. So I think what's really interesting is to always remember that what you see on the outside, or what you see in glossy magazines or glossy social media pages or whatever it may be, is not reality for many influencers. And they'll act and do whatever they need to do to portray this happiness or whatever it is. You can see so many people who've kind of taken a break from the whole influencer industry, including FouseyTube, Yusuf Erekat, including Dyla, including others similar to him and similar to them. I hope that you really found that interesting, and I hope it gave you a little bit of an insight in terms of the influence industry and some of the parts of it. See you in the next one. Bye bye.